Hey, if you don't mind, do me a favor and hit that like button, that subscribe button. That would be a blessing to my family, an encouragement to us as we put out content that hopefully will help you as you learn beekeeping. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll put a few interesting things in along the way for you to watch as well. So enjoy and enjoy the video or the pictures of the different views from my apiaries and pumpkin fields and what have you. I'll put those in there as well. Hope you enjoy that. Good morning, friends. Just wanted to make a quick video uh, today about moving bees. And it's not something that we do a lot of here at our farm, but we have had to move bees, setting up new apiaries. Maybe the apiary um, needs to be rearranged. Um, we also may be talking about today the pumpkin farm. It's the title of the video, Moving Bees on the Pumpkin Farm. Um, and so I'll be talking about that. There are multiple reasons why you might need to move a colony of bees. Sometimes you're moving and you need to move your bee yard to another, your new home or your new farm. Um, and so first thing I want to say is I'm not suggesting that you move bees unnecessarily. Sometimes it has to be done, and it can be intimidating. So I'm also not suggesting in this video, by the title of the video, that you keep bees on a pumpkin farm or that you move bees to the pumpkin farm for pollination. Again, that is something people do. It is something that pumpkin farmers want and need, but it's not always um, the best idea for the beekeeper or the bees. So just keep that in mind. I have a friend, a neighbor farming friend, who grows pumpkins, sells and distributes them. And he had an old colony that somebody else had left there. And he asked me about moving bees onto his farm for the pumpkins, and if that would be a benefit to my bees. And because he sells pumpkins, and most of those pumpkins have, there's a market time frame for those pumpkins. They, Thanksgiving, Halloween, that period of time, the pumpkins have to be pollinated. They have to be grown and pollinated in a certain window in order for them to be ripe, to be picked and distributed. So it's a time sensitive business to be in. And if you miss it by a week, you miss a substantial part of that income stream. So he offered it, and I accepted and gave it a try. It's been 3 years. We've done that for him for 3 years, or had pumpkins around the farm for 3 years. And initially, we put bees right into the pumpkin fields, and understanding some concerns about sprays and pesticides and different things like that. And we took some precautions and, um, made some recommendations on how we protected the bees. Um, and, it worked out the first year. But a few thoughts on pumpkins and pollinators, first of all. Honeybees aren't the primary pollinator for pumpkins. They do get used. It does work. Honeybees are good, or do pollinate the pumpkins. But according to Penn State Extension Office, pumpkin pollen is a large pollen. It's a very sticky pollen, and bees are the best pollinators for pumpkins. Um, but in the northeast section of the U.S., they did some studies. Maryland, I believe, was the primary location for that. But what they found was honeybees, bumblebees, and squash bees primarily visited those flowers. And there's a lot of solitary bees, a number of different, solitary bees that do that, carpenter bees. um, that get into the pumpkins. And that's been my experience as well when I visit the pumpkin patch after the bees are there and the flowers are blooming, pollination is happening. Um, the honeybees do not make up the primary bee that I see. That's not the primary pollinator. And yet, if you go to the bee colonies, there's a lot of bees coming back that are obviously covered in pumpkin pollen, and it covers them. They come back bright yellow. It's obviously which ones have been in there getting the pollen because it is stuck all over their body. And I have taken some pictures of those. I'll put those in the video as well. But um, the challenges, that sounds good, but the challenges with honeybees and pumpkin farms are pumpkins are susceptible to a number of pests. The primary one seems is the squash beetle. They're squash bees and they're squash beetles. And the primary mode or method of dealing with that pest is, of course, chemicals and pesticides, spraying the pumpkin patch. And it's squash beetles are a formidable foe, and once they get into the patch, they can decimate it. So pumpkin farmers have to be very careful and very on top of their game with watching out for that pest, because once they start putting their doing their damage by attacking the vines of those pumpkin vines, uh, they will destroy the farm. So they have to spray, and so unfortunately, obviously, squash beetles and squash bees are all bugs, and all of the chemicals that I know of that help the farmers uh, eliminate the squash bugs also eliminate the bees, squash bees as well as honeybees. So that's one of the challenge for the pumpkin farmers is they have to rotate their crops. They have to move the pumpkins from, plant them in one place one year, and the next year they plant them somewhere else, so that we don't have an increasing problem with the squash beetles. But anyway, that's the challenge, and it's a challenge for the beekeeper who puts bees in a pumpkin farm, and it's something we have to be aware of. How is the spray going to be applied? When is the spray going to be applied? What spray is going to be applied? And you have to watch your bees closely so that you can see if they're being affected negatively. And in my experience, they will be, even if you do try diligently to eliminate that or mitigate that. So, in my experience, for example, the first year we moved the bees to the pumpkin fields, it did seem to be a benefit to the bees. And the pumpkin farmer was quite pleased with how well the pollination took place. The pumpkins weren't deformed. There was plenty of pumpkins. There was a lot of things that were positives about that. And I tasted pumpkin honey when the bees were working it. I was able to get in there and fresh, still too liquid to harvest. Honey was quite delicious. I rather enjoyed it. I was disappointed when I went back to collect the honey. It was all dried down, and I suspect in that period of time there was other things that the bees were working on, and it got intermingled with other things. And so what happened was uh, the honey did not taste as good when I went back and got it later. So, but the first year we made just a modest amount of honey. It was not great, but I was hopeful for the next year. The second year, we moved the bees into the honey farm. We noticed a significant reduction in the honeybee populations. That they definitely seem to be set back by something. And of course, weather is always a possibility. That we've had drought seasons. And certain amounts of rain, too much rain or too little rain, one keeps the too much rain. That's not terrible for the plants, but it's not great for the bees, because the honeybees aren't going to get out and work in the rain. Drought is hard on the plants, and they don't produce the nectar, and they're not going to produce the fruit, and it doesn't matter how many bees you put there, it's not going to help, and so you're not going to get any honey. So anyway, that can be challenged. So weather is certainly a potential problem. And by no means was this a scientific study. This is just my observation from several years of moving bees onto the honey farm, and trying to work with the farmer for the benefit of his farm and my bees, because the pollination happens in uh, late July into August, which around southeast Missouri, there's not a whole lot for the bees to be foraging on. Typically, I'll feed. Um, and the bees aren't doing anything. I'm just trying to keep them strong uh, through the hot part of the year here, when there's nothing else. So second year, we noticed a decline in bees. He did not notice as big as impact on the pumpkins, but the third year, we definitely saw a hit on the bees. uh, I wouldn't say we lost bees, but they were definitely weak, and they certainly didn't make any honey the second or third year. Um, though um, the bees survived, and so it wasn't all bad. But the third year, we didn't put the bees directly into the fields. We set them in neighboring fields, and 100 yards, 200 yards away from the fields of pumpkins. And so they weren't getting directly sprayed. They weren't even getting a drift of the spray on the colonies themselves. And the farmer was always trying to spray later in the evening, um, and trying to mitigate the dangers of the bees actually working flowers while the spray is going on. So he knew that. He was working with me on that, and that was all great. But like I said, it still was a challenge. So um, this past year, which was our third year trying to help the farmer and trying to figure this out, we actually set up an apiary on his farm, uh, kind of central to where all the pumpkin fields might be from one year to another, but not anywhere near where they would be in any way sprayed. Um, and we're talking hundreds of yards away, and in a uh, location that's blocked all around by trees and buildings and different things. So they were in I would call it a protected location from sprays. It wasn't anywhere near any fields. It was basically on the farm, in the building areas on the farm, and so had plenty of water. There was a pond right there close by, and all kinds of other good positive things. But uh, my experience this past year in setting that apiary up was, we put some colonies that we moved from another apiary, but mostly they were nukes that I had made early this last spring. And I moved my surplus nukes over there and set up an apiary. Um, we had good results. The nuke colonies grew well. Um, most of them did well. There was a few queen issues. And so now that apiary is established, and we're going to see how this year goes, see if this season they do well. Like I said, the indications are good. There were some losses there, nothing unlike uh, anywhere else. So we're hopeful that that's going to do well. They seem to be strong. Nothing was lost over the winter thus far. So we're hopeful that that's going to work out well. But as the title indicates, um, the impetus of this video was, how do we move the bees? So I want to cover that where it's coming. So hang tight. I've got a clip of the family, some of the girls helping me move bees onto the pumpkin farm and setting them on pallets. We run standard bottom boards, all solid bottom boards. I don't like screen bottom boards. That's another video. I tried them and I didn't care for how that worked. And the bees didn't seem to like them here. But anyway, solid bottom boards, and usually double deep colonies at that period of the year, and migratory lids, some telescoping covers lids. But anyway, you'll see that in the video, and we use ratchet straps to put around the colonies and keep everything together. And that also provides a nice handle for whoever's moving the bees. Somebody can grab that colony from each side by the straps and pick it up, and they can move it around, as you'll notice in the video. So again, it is not, I'm not recommending that you move your bees into the pumpkins, at least not without you researching and doing some precautionary work and trying to figure out with the pumpkin farmer what they're spraying, when they're spraying, how they're spraying, and how they're going to protect your bees. If you're a pumpkin farmer, that's important stuff. Those bee colonies are hard to raise. They're expensive to replace. Once those pesticides get in the frames and in the bee colony, then that's just a huge negative on the whole. Honey is healthy and safe and all of that if we're putting pesticides in there. So we have to work together to prevent that and provide a safe product, i.e. the honey, to those that are consuming it. So something else about moving them, we tried trailers. I have a number of flatbed trailers that I use and I've had available. So I put bees on the trailer, 15, 20 colonies of bees on a trailer, and set it nearby so that I could grab it and move it in case they were going to spray and the bees were going to get sprayed. But that's not always possible. That's not always practical. So what you'll see in the video clip here is us actually, we've got a trailer and we're taking the bees off of the trailer and setting them down on pallets, which I found for free. And then we had some fiberglass panels that the farmer had available, and we put those down so that I didn't have to go and weed eat around the bees. And it would kind of make them a little more visible when they were brush hogging and doing their farm work, so that the bees didn't get knocked over. Because I'll also put a clip of what happens when someone's driving a tractor and the bees start attacking them. The bees went after the tractor driver, and the tractor driver abandoned the tractor, and the tractor ran over the bees. And so you'll see me in the clip trying to dig the tractor out, and you'll see the devastation. And the good news about that situation was I didn't lose any bees. They got knocked over. They got but fortunately I was able to get there right away and get the colony set back upright, get the tractor pulled out. Nobody got hurt. Nothing was the tractor was fine. The bees were fine. I did have to replace some hive stand materials, but anyway, in any case, have a great day.